The real, raw, and gritty will be somewhere else.
There you go. The real, raw, and gritty will be somewhere else on our OnlyFans page.
Now I don't wanna do it, but I ain't afraid to die. Lord knows I ain't perfect. I ain't trying to tell a lie. It's understood and I ain't hearing all that woulda, coulda, shoulda. Trying to say you want peace, then you burn the. It was my God's honest that I was all about a non-violent approach, but it seems truth is a non-topic.
Basically, we're bringing the thing back. We're doing these long form videos on YouTube, except it'll be a shortened version on here. You know, there'll be some parts missing. We'll do our best that, you know, it'll obviously still be good content.
Mm-hmm.
But the extra, anything that we think might be...
The real, raw, and gritty will be somewhere else.
There you go. The real, raw, and gritty will be somewhere else on our OnlyFans page.
Yeah.
No, I mean... I'm not saying we're not going to have stuff that pushes the envelope on here. But what I'm saying is there will be extra on the Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be very soon. And all of the past episodes, great interviews, everything included, will be on there. Some are hours long.
Yeah.
One,
very cool people.
Yeah, one we're going to do a video about.
Oh, yeah. We have to do a kind of a rebuttal.
Not a rebuttal.
Not a rebuttal of, what's the right word that I'm looking for?
A fucking diss?
No,
I'm just kidding.
We gotta take back some things.
A retraction?
A retraction!
We didn't really say that we co-signed this guy's life or anything, so it's not really retraction.
And that's the best that I could come up with.
But, you know, we had a guy on who has sold a lot of books, who is a popular personality, though his popularity is dropping now, who is outed as what he claimed to be, as not being what he claimed to be.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Lee Cole and these guys who are leading the charge, and what's the other one, Mobsters, whatever, that's really cool channel, I can't remember what it's called. But anyways, those guys have really led the charge in outing this guy and catching him in his own lies, right? I'll tell you guys this, if you're watching this, or, you know, maybe I'll even send it to a few of those guys. He has never gone as in depth with his lying and exaggeration and double talk and false claims as he did on our show.
Yeah, so go peep that.
Dude, I had him on for like 4 fucking hours.
Because, you know, he likes to talk and talk.
So will, who else we interviewed? Big Herc. That was a good interview. Great interview. Mr. Hyde.
Yes.
YouTube took half of that down.
Yeah. I don't even remember what the exact reason was for that.
I kind of do. It had something to do with him talking about a song, I think, that maybe had something to do with Uicide Say.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Say big fucking Latin. Something like that. I don't know. Or killing people or something. You know, the same shit that they make money off of his songs being about.
The Sladge or something like that. I can't remember.
Well, first they took the song off.
Yeah.
But then they took the second half of the interview off. It might have been because he talked about the cough.
Yeah, it could have. Maybe.
His viewpoint on it.
It very well could have.
Well, mine, ours too.
Yeah.
And who else did we interview? Amber Boone's a good one that a lot of people may not know, but was actually a really good interview, inspirational type of thing.
Watch that. It was a really great interview.
We had Chelsea Mozinga on there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we had our guys from Nothing Sacred on there.
Yes.
I mean, of course, several times. Those are great. Like, those might be some of my... I mean, they're probably my favorite ones.
Yeah, they're always enjoyable, for sure.
We done other interviews other than that? I don't know.
Yeah, we have. I just can't...
we had some...
I can't...
Rap fags on there.
Right now.
Oh,
those don't count. No.
But no, I mean, we have a plethora of different things. Yeah. Anyways, we had like 100 episodes. They will all be private by the time you guys see this video.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to put them on the Patreon. I'm probably going to, like, you know, improve the sound a little bit on them and the video quality too. But that's where they'll be, and we'll keep you guys updated as to where that's at. And we've already recorded, like, a whole video here just explaining why we weren't doing this for a while and what we're about to do. So that's enough of that. So the topic today, I got to give a shout out to True Stream Media. It's insane that they have done so much in-depth, amazing, you know, top-notch, investigative, and fact-driven work for, like, over a decade. And I barely knew who they were. And I watched a video recently that was about the Google algorithm. And it's very disturbing what they're doing as far as the searches and what it's going to lead to. where it's at already. And like I said, they already did this video, but we want to expound on it a bit as far as what we think it could lead to. So like with the topics, we're trying to do like, okay, here's a topic / problem is how things will start. Then the proof of it. Then the hysteria / conflict, meaning what's the big deal? What are people tripping about? What are we tripping about? And then a proposed solution, if there is one.
Mm-hmm.
With this, it's a search engine manipulation. I should just say a browser manipulation because they're one and the same with Google, obviously.
Right.
And it's the fact that your results are coming back in not only a biased way, but in a way that you don't know. So their video, I liked what she called it. They had a long form one that was called "What Happened to the Rest of the Internet?" or "Where's the Rest of the Internet?"
Mm-hmm.
What that means is, if you guys go search anything right now, like I'll have on the screen here where I search, for climate change. It's just, but you can do this for much more benign things.
Different things, yeah.
I mean, very basic stuff.
Drug rehabilitation. I mean, just information on different, like, simple stuff like that, Very simple stuff that you should still get a lot of different answers for from all kinds of sources.
Well, that's the problem. When you search something, what we've always liked to think is that the internet is this huge place where we can have access to
information.
Right. Farmer Jim down the road has an opinion on something. My cousin once wrote a paper on this. Danielle wrote an article for this. I wrote an article for that. It's all out there. I may not have the exact link, but, I'll just search for it. Just Google it.
You just got to dig through some stuff, and as long as you keep digging, you'll find that thing
you
you're
won't.
looking for, but you won't now.
You won't. I can pretty much promise you won't. Because as you'll see on some of the stuff in the screen here, when you search something, it'll come back as, there's 2.2 billion results showing, whatever, 9 or whatever the fuck it is, 20 of the first.
Like 24 pages.
Right. Or 12, I think, is maybe the highest they go up to now.
Yeah,
20.
yeah.
I don't know. It'll be on the screen. But what I want you guys to do is, since you have 2 billion options out there, articles, blogs, message boards, social media, opinions, facts, published papers, video, everything. What I want you guys to do is search for something. And I want you to decide that you want to see the 500th result out of 2.2 billion. You're not going to find it. You will never see it. It's impossible.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, and I don't know when this happened. I used to work in search engine optimization. I can't believe that I didn't know that this was a thing.
Yeah.
I used to be able to go, many pages in because it would be like, okay, here's where you guys are starting out at your company. I'm going to help your firm get to this level. And I would, check it constantly, incognito, like to show them you're climbing up. You were at 238. Now I used to do that. Now you can't go past the allotted number of pages. And eventually it'll just take you to a very similar topic or, a different question.
Cycle the same results over and over.
That's the thing. Even when you only get like 10 pages in, it's already doing that.
Yep, you're already back at the first page pretty much.
And as you'll see with some of the stuff that shows up on the screen, like say for climate change, you're going to get like NASA, you're going to get some .edus, you'll get a Wikipedia, and you'll only get government approved sources.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Like, you won't get anything beyond that. And what you guys got to remember is that when a so-called consensus is formed, number one, the consensus, things change. That's the whole point of science.
Right.
If you're not willing to be open-minded to that, you don't believe in science.
Yeah.
But, a lot of times this is like a 70% of experts came to this conclusion. That means we're never allowed to see the other 30%. Like, we're never allowed to see the other guy's opinions. Because it doesn't jibe with, like, those same 12 websites that are all interconnected. You can't get past them. You might get, like, one article mixed in there, but it's, New York Times or something.
Yeah.
So, you're going to get that handful for, like, however many pages, and then it ends after maybe 200 or whatever, 200 results. The rest of the internet is gone. And you may say it's not gone, it's there, the guy pays for his domain name.
But if you can't access it, then it's gone.
Yeah, and nobody uses URLs anymore.
No.
You don't. That's another thing. People that run businesses and, create content and stuff thought that they didn't have to stress over what came after the slash on their fucking website anymore.
Yeah, it wasn't important anymore.
Google pushed you out of that.
Yep.
They didn't want you using like keywords in your titles and stuff like that. So they forced you to do stuff that wouldn't show up in their algorithm because you were never going to show up in their algorithm again. Now, the proof of it, I showed something on the screen. You can also do it yourselves.
Yeah,
search anything.
Go try anything, even like the simplest thing. Just try it.
There's articles I wrote. Like I wrote for a magazine. I wrote an article about Matt Stafford one day, and that's where I noticed this. Before I saw the TrueStream thing, it was just a thing where people were like, "You've always hated on Matt Stafford," and I was like, "No, I don't." And I wanted to have the last laugh and post a link to my article that said that I thought he was the next great thing. And the article doesn't exist because I don't have the direct link.
Mm-hmm.
The magazine exists. It was read a lot. It was shared a lot. The keywords are on point. It includes my name as the author. I put it in quotes, everything else. But it didn't come up in those first couple hundred that are only ESPN, Wikipedia, NFL.com, the Detroit Lions.com, Outside of that, there's no opinion unless there was somebody who was a part of big media.
Yeah, no message boards, nothing.
Nothing. Some of the problems it causes, smaller problems. It ruins the small creator.
Yeah, 100%.
The guy who just really wants, the guy who wants the guys who stay up at night, looking at statistics and reading about a team or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they go through like 10, 15 pages and finally find old fucking Henry's, Baltimore Ravens blog.
Yeah, going down the rabbit hole of something you like.
Exactly. Thank you. That's the way to say it. And that was a great thing on the internet. It made it fun.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, I'm going to find different perspectives. This is going to be dope. And granted, what I'm explaining a situation where, I'm saying a small-time creator, but I'm saying like a small creator who his stuff gets read a lot.
Yeah.
It gets shared on social media a lot. It's keyworded properly. It's nice articles, good coding on the website. Everything that you would ask for in good SEO, and he still doesn't get to show up because he's not in that little group of approved sites.
The elite.
Yeah, the elite. the technocracy. The websites that are tied in with the government, that are tied in with this specific... Now, the search engine thing, this happens with other mainstream search engines too.
Yeah.
It's just with Google, it's a little more impactful.
Because Google is it, right?
Yeah, they're like 95% of all searches online.
It's the internet. When you think of what is the internet, you think Google.
Right.
Instantly.
And they have plans to make it more. And when they've had they're at that recent, the whatever it was, they said that the whole goal is to have one answer to everything. It sounds great, right? Like, I'm just going to go in there and get an answer to anything. But that doesn't apply to much.
No, there can't possibly be one answer to everything.
Mm-mm.
You just can't. I mean, oh, Lord. That brings up a whole other...
Well, we're going to get to that.
Shit.
So, I mean, you're ruining the small-time creator. Like, maybe you want an opinion on something from a guy who's small-time, who's more like a regular dude. And I've tried shit like that, too. Like, an opinion on this from... small town guy that, you know what I'm saying? I've been trying all these weird searches and shit, and stuck in traffic, and I'm trying to find, and it just doesn't exist anymore. You're not going to find hardly anyone in those search results. This also goes for Bing and Yahoo, but hardly anyone uses them. That's why I'm not talking about it.
Yeah.
So that's problem number one. People that are going to be just like us, who don't get the audience that they've worked for, who actually is out there looking for them in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just reminiscent on, man, one time I saw this one thing or read this one thing. You're going to discourage creators, which is obviously on purpose.
Yes.
You're taking a lot of the fun out of the internet. Most of the fun out of the internet, I would venture to say.
Remember when surfing the internet was like a term?
Yeah.
It doesn't exist now.
No.
You ain't gonna surf through anything.
Yeah, see, sometimes when you streamline things to make them more efficient, it doesn't work out well because your goal in efficiency isn't what you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody doesn't just want like the one-word answer like they're asking a question for a damn an exam.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just want to see what other people think, even if they know damn well that like all these people are fucking wrong about something.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just want to see other, opinions from different sources. Even if it's like something like scientific, you want to hear like different opinions from different doctors on such topic or whatever.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, this is it, this is what you do, this is what this is about, and this is how this works. That's it.
Maybe the guy's a nut job and he is wrong, and he should have some credibility taken away from him. But maybe I just want to go see what a crazy guy who's wrong says.
Yeah,
because it'll be entertaining to me. But you can't. So I mean, you destroy the small guy, the little guy, which ruins the internet, which also gets rid of discourse between human beings.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking away the little arguments that are actually fun. I know Facebook has taken over that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, the real niche things, they try to do it with groups, the way that you said, like, message boards used to be that.
Yeah.
Reddit still is.
Mm-hmm. It's like the only one.
Yeah, it really is. And, I mean, you sit there and search for specialized stuff, and again, you don't find it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you're taking away discourse between humans who have some of the same interests and who have differing viewpoints. They're not even finding these particular places to go, and you know what I mean? So there's that. You're taking a lot of human element out of it. You're taking a lot of fun out of it. On top of that, you're taking away critical thinking. This is where shit starts getting scary to me. If you have a child, well, let's say a teenager, who's getting into some heavier subjects in school, and he has to do a report on something, and he wants to give more than one perspective. He can't. There's only one right answer.
Yeah.
But it really is. I looked up a lot of different issues that have been a part of my kids' school and schooling and stuff, and you really can't. You can't find both sides to a story, much less three sides to it. And not only does that paint history in a certain way that feels tyrannical, the worst thing that it does is that it takes away critical thinking, where a kid needs to learn how to take these facts, and figure out that these over here aren't really facts. They twisted it. This is propaganda. These are the bad guys over here. The consensus is right, but I want to see, I want to put my passion behind how bad the other side is. You can't. All you're going to get is a little bit of, oh, this person was a despot, he's a terrible human being, and we all know he's evil. Boom. Go to the triumphant, you know what I mean? Like,
God, debate teams must be boring now.
Yeah, because all they do is fact check.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, dude, that it's not supposed to be that simple. Like, you're supposed to be able to word exactly what was incorrect about what I said, and not just regurgitate essentially what amounts to an opinion.
Doing research for debates used to be like so much fun for like debate teams and stuff like that back in like middle school when I did it. And I bet now it'd be really difficult to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, you could find opinions on things that, are horrible, right? You could find people who supported them. And, they must think that people's minds are like super weak. They think that like if you read something that's dissenting that you're gonna become that other side or something. But realistically, like I said, it can impassion somebody to go, in the right direction.
Right.
Or it at least just gives them a look into how that person or that country thought.
Right.
Gives it a little bit of context. And what that does is like help you to see how this country won't do it.
Yeah.
Or, that sort of thing. I mean, they started back in the day banning books where the bad guy gave his opinion. Mm-hmm. There's still like the Aleister Crowley book is still banned.
Oh yeah.
You can't get it hardly anywhere. And it's like, wait a minute, the guy's talking about fucking magic.
Right.
I mean, seriously, magic. But because you're afraid that people are going to follow, and there's other reasons behind that, but it doesn't matter. The whole point is that it's taking critical thinking away. It's not only taking the fun out of the internet, it's taking the brain out of any subject.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like, God, there's a million examples. I think you guys follow along with what I'm saying here. Your kids get into school and they're taught to just tap a button and get an answer to something. They're not really learning anything. And when they go and even if there is an article or something like that they read, or maybe they read a so-called expert opinion, still called an opinion, but either way, let's say it's 100% fact, they still need to see the whole picture.
All angles. As many angles as possible.
Even if it just means that their brain does more work.
Yeah.
Even if it just means that, they're doing their mental gymnastics and staying in shape. You know what I mean? Like it's getting ridiculous. You can't find differing opinions.
Making people really dumb.
The most differing opinion you get, and I'm not even going to mention some of the mainstream news stuff that I actually looked up in this instance. The most you'll get is basically an article that says, a handful of idiots think this way.
Mm-hmm.
They've been discredited. But meanwhile, it's like 50% of the country thinks this way. Been discredited on this one thing, not discredited on these other 100, but because of who's in power and who's tied in with these tech giants, which brings me to a very important point. He who controls the information controls the world.
Yep.
Has all of the power. Information, somebody actually said that quote essentially. That's not me. But it's true. You control the information. You control the narrative. You control what people learn. You control how they build their minds essentially. And you control every aspect of their life. You control society if you control information. So now we have a situation where Mark Zuckerberg just admitted to the fact that he held back the Hunter Biden story because the FBI told him to.
Yeah.
So there you have government tied in with the social media so-called private sector.
Right.
You see what I mean? So, and then you guys know that Google, and I'm on one of their platforms right now, but that's fine because you'll see us on Rumble, all that good shit. Google/YouTube, Alphabet Corporation, they're extremely tied in with our government.
Yes.
The narrative that is pushed, it's all, you guys already know. The media, the technocracy, the government, they're all tied in as one.
Yeah.
So what you've got now is basically it's propaganda. It's a monopoly on all media, all propaganda. Something that's almost never been seen before. It's been seen in one other instance that I'm not even allowed to say,
right.
Even though it's a historic occurrence, a historic group of people, even though the name that you call them was not their name and it's actually an insult on purpose said by the Allies. Anyways, that's the type of thing we're talking about here. And I'm glad I don't get to make that comparison because it's way more comparable than people think.
Yeah.
As far as controlling what you see, think here, but it's been that way in this country for a very long time. This isn't new. It's just that finally there's a form of technology and a way of using it and it being infused into our lives in a certain way to where it's more powerful than ever. You can't, back in the day, let's say you said TV had too much influence. You turn it off.
Yeah.
You don't buy one.
You unplug it.
You unplug it. Well, now this is so integrated into our lives. You can't live a life as a human being right now in America without, having an email address, having social media.
You gotta have it for work.
Yeah, applying for
school.
jobs.
You gotta have it for something.
Right. And how do you think if you do homeschooling, how do you think you turn the work in and shit? Everybody out there's like, homeschool. Yeah, I agree with that. But still. So anyways, and still the criteria of it, anyways, we're rusty at this. I'm kind of all over the place because this is actually a really important topic. You're going to have too much control and be able to be manipulated by the government, even if the government's right in a given instance. Like, hey, maybe we should, even if it fucking sounds great on the surface, like, hey, maybe people shouldn't know about this, or maybe we should kind of paint this that way, and it may even save a couple lives. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's it's the freedom of speech is there for a reason. Let people figure out on their own, as adults, as human beings, how to think.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to do.
Mind anymore.
And, you know, and then there's an arduous task of future edits. So you get your consensus on a scientific issue or even on something in history. And now it's flat on its face by the same people who essentially created all the publications and all the information that you claim to be true before, but given that it's science, it's ever changing, more and more experimentation, more and more theories. Now, how do you go back and change it all? But see, I got you right there. Because you shouldn't change it all. That shouldn't be possible.
No.
Because you would have had 30% of people already saying what these guys say, and then boom, that actually helps you like once they present the new facts, that helps you feel solidified in the fact that, hey, that effort I put into this, my mind, my common sense, you know, my schooling, whatever it is, was right the first time. Hallelujah, you know.
Yeah.
To an intellectual person, that's huge. But that doesn't matter, I guess. But also you're having everything manipulated by or controlled by an ad-driven platform that is the most guilty in data collection on the entire planet. I think it was Germany the other day. Maybe I'll flash a graphic. Was it Germany?
I think so.
Another country basically took Google to court for collecting information when nobody opted in and how they sold it and this, that, and the other. I mean, you know, it's ad-driven. It's collecting data. It's mining that data in ways that would make people very uncomfortable if they actually understood how it's done. It's openly biased. Google has said over and over again, this is going to reflect the values of Google, of course, first and foremost. In other words, you know, we're righteous, so that you guys should be happy about this. This is great. We're the good guys that are moderating things. You're not supposed to moderate things. You're supposed to be a browser and a fucking search engine.
Yeah, so I can look up whatever things I want to look up.
Right. I'm not looking you up. Mm-hmm. I'm not looking your opinion up.
I'm going on your Facebook and reading in your profile what, you know, you stand for and don't. I don't give a flying fuck.
Right.
And you shouldn't give a flying fuck what I do either.
You're a tool, a search engine tool.
You're supposed to be a page I type stuff into, not a human being I'm having a conversation with.
Right.
Morals and shit.
And so it's openly biased, collects data, makes all their money from ad revenue, has now turned that into a phone thing, a cable thing, you know what I mean? Like basically every bit of transmitting information. Yeah, there's no need for teachers or professors once they get this thing totally quote unquote right. What the fuck do you need them for?
Yeah.
There will be the right answer to everything here. There'll be no critical thinking. You can just get the answer. I mean, I guess you need somebody to ask the questions. They got to get real creative because they'll be conditioned to not ask or answer questions. So it's like, you know, somebody from my generation might be the last good professor to have to pass that shit up.
Childcare now.
Yeah.
It's basically what they are half the time anyway.
That's pretty much it. It's very disturbing. Companies that have all the information, have all the power. It's funny, you go in this loop where, you know, if you ask a question to Google or even Alexa, but if you ask a question to Google, it'll give you the answer. Then you ask how the answer was come to, and it takes you back. It goes in this loop over and over again.
Yep.
You know, kind of like, here's an example. Like, this is just something that was in a sports group that was very similar to this. Like, you know, who is the best hitter this year? So-and-so got a triple crown. The most home runs, most RBIs, best batting average. Oh, wow. He must have practiced hard or something. How did he get the most home runs and the most RBIs and the best batting average? And they would say, because he's the best hitter. And you say, well, if he's the best hitter, and it just goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. See, again, True Stream Media did a really good example of this, where they asked these questions and got the response, and it kept going in a loop. And at best, it would either say, like, I don't understand your question, or it would take you to Wikipedia, and then you ask it, like, how credible is Wikipedia? And it literally says that it's flawed and that it's constantly changed and allowed to be changed by people.
By
so
people,
something.
yeah.
So, in other words, when you finally get to that supervisor after yelling into the phone 500 times, that the company comes on all of a sudden and says, that supervisor can't change anything, and what they do say about your contract probably is untrue.
Yeah.
And then you say, why is it untrue? Is there somebody else? And they go, you get the picture.
Yep.
So I felt like this needed to be talked about because future generations are going to be unable to critically think. They're either going to be completely untrusting of information, or they're going to be completely brainwashed. Those who are completely untrusting obviously will be like black sheep of society.
Outcasts.
We're talking social credit scores are basically a thing already.
Yep.
I mean, they are overseas, but they're becoming a thing here. So what do you think will happen to those kids that actually say, like, well, I want to see both perspectives of the Crusades?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. It's just something I threw out there. But, so obviously you're dumbing the population down. You're molding them to what you believe to be the consensus. I think somebody needs to check the meaning of that terminology. They're changing that the same way they changed the term race.
Yeah.
Racism, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Or gender, or any of these things. They're changing it as they go. You know, kind of like, racism can't exist without somebody having power over someone else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's circular too, because how do they have power? Because they're racist towards me. So, that's circular bullshit, or cyclical, whatever that would be. It sucks the creativity out too. And you guys got to realize that a lot of things that are done artistically are done with differing opinions.
Well, yeah.
And it's not always like metaphorical, like they say it.
No, most things are.
Like all the great poets and musicians and everything like that of the past would not be allowed to make what they make now.
No.
And you may say, oh, that's different platforms and this, that, and the other. It's like, okay, well, YouTube's owned by Google. And they're all kind of tied together, and they all will make phone calls to each other and cancel your entire life like they did to Andrew Tate, which just said his name, so that'll probably affect this video
shit.
too.
Yeah, there's a strike.
So,
2 strikes for that one.
What happens when these companies have to bend to the will of a Republican president? Guess what? We don't want that either.
No!
And we don't want a libertarian. None of it. We want you guys and us to create stuff and be able to have a voice, and maybe somebody doesn't need to know the exact fucking URL that day to be able to see what we did.
I want to be able to look up shit from people I don't like and don't respect their opinion, but I still want to know what they had to say, and I think that they should be able to see what I had to say too.
Yeah. I mean, it goes without saying. So I don't think you guys realize that when it goes the other way, you're going to have these complaints. So let's just nip this in the bud now. I mean, I know you hope that it doesn't become a major focus, but that's what we're getting to on solutions.
It's a little late for that, though. It is.
The first solution is use a different browser, use different search engines. I found some alternatives. It's funny how hard they were to find by using Google to find them.
You're right. You would think. Yeah.
Number one, I don't believe in using DuckDuckGo, and the reason why is it became an extension of Chrome, and any extension of Chrome is going to collect data and probably be swayed in the direction of what Google wants it to be.
Yeah.
That may not be true, but I seriously
I
have an
would
issue
think
with
so.
how that company did an official extension for the company that does the exact opposite of what the antithesis of what
Yeah.
they stand for. So I don't fuck with them, but hey, some of these companies might also have an extension too. These ones I found, I haven't tried any of these. I'm going to try one like in the next week, and maybe in the next episode I'll mention what happened with it. One's called Mojeek, Mojeek. One's called, it's like search, but it's SEARX. One's called Metzger, METZGER. Another one's Gibiru, GIBIRU. And then there's CC search, which is actually just to find copyright-free stuff.
Oh.
So you need music, you need imagery, you need videos, which is fucking dope. It's a
Okay.
search engine just for that, but that might help you find other information and expression and stuff like that. I don't know. I haven't tried. But that's the first solution, is to use different browsers and maybe tell other people to use different browsers. Now, you can't do that online because your reach will be limited, so you're going to have to do this in person.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it does extend to everything when it comes to this technocracy that I'm talking about. Just listen to what happened to Andrew Tate on a Patrick Bet-David interview.
Mm-hmm.
What they froze of his.
It's terrifying.
It's very terrifying, and you will be terrified listening to that. And then beyond that, you don't realize that what we're talking about here, being the keepers of information, one answer to everything, it's all vanilla, it's all sanitized, and that's going to be the only way anyone's allowed to think, talk, whatever. This is scarier. You just won't feel it in your gut the way you feel what he describes.
Yeah.
Like, because you can think of...
closer to home of what you would feel like if that happened to you.
What happened to him is like, what was that movie, The Net, that had Sandra Bullock in it, where all of a sudden she didn't exist?
Yeah.
It was like that. But scarier than that is future generations only being allowed to think and talk one way, and them not even knowing
that there's another way.
Yeah, that it wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
That is fucking scary as shit.
We're already living in a world where we have to explain things to our kids.
Oh my God.
It wasn't always
Dude,
like
too
this.
much
It
of
wasn't always like this. It wasn't always like this. And not in a good way.
No.
You know.
And so that's your alternative, is to use different browsers and stuff like that. I'm going to try. I just haven't had time yet. I think that there should be more detailed tech laws, real attention paid to it like other causes. Meaning, full-time, there should be an entire panel of people who really know tech, really understand situations like this. You always hear the excuse that we didn't anticipate this type of thing, this great advancement in technology. Government don't know how to respond to it. You know, like, we don't have like the right experts in place. No, this needs to be a major thing, because it's all of the information, it's all of the learning, it's all of the data of the people, it's all of the entertainment, which isn't as important, but still, all of it, news, everything. It can all be manipulated. You need to make sure you know who has the control of this. It's almost like there's one fucking printing press, you know, that prints all of...
All the news.
God, I can't... I'm still holding back, dude. There's a period in time where this happened.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? The period directly after it here was exactly the same. We actually hired some of those guys to show us the way.
That's... Oh, God, I can't.
Especially the attack yourself. Different episode on a different platform.
Definitely not this one.
Definitely on Realm Warsome. But you need to support these alternatives. You know, like I said, it's hard to communicate with people online about this. But, I mean, you know, you can start a Facebook group that'll be up for a couple of weeks, and you guys can decide which one to back, and maybe everybody give $5 to it so they feel like, hell yeah, we're going to keep making improvements. We're going to keep this thing going. Because Rumble, I need to buy stock in Rumble. I wonder if YouTube's mad about me saying this. I guess Russell Brand is doing an exclusive deal with them. Now Andrew Tate has had 10 times as many people on a live on Rumble as he ever had on YouTube. Mm-hmm. They actually helped him to go to the next level. Joe Rogan has hinted at, if the censorship thing goes too far, that might become his focus. He may leave Spotify. He didn't say those words, but they asked.
It's possible.
Yeah. So Russell Brand is fucking huge.
Yes.
Very influential on people. And I've noticed, and Rumble is, tied in with locals.
Yes.
Dave Rubin has a big part of that. Now, if you go to locals and you see who the contributors are on that site, there's some of the biggest influences on just about every field you can imagine, left and right. Yeah, a lot of left, actually. Mm-hmm. It's not a political thing. And that just adds a lot of validity and some traffic and shit to Rumble, too. I honestly see Rumble growing to something really big. Now, obviously, Google and YouTube and all of that's tied together to where, you know, your apps for work and this, that, and the other, it's all in the same thing. It's very convenient. People give up a lot for convenience. They say that they give up everything for safety. I think we actually give up more for convenience than
has
safety.
become safety, so.
And fucking shit isn't that inconvenient.
No.
You know, you might have to wait 5 more seconds to open another app. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. But it's a little bit less convenient. But anyways, people need to have a little bit more fucking, a little more faith in other human beings.
Yeah.
Because you've been lulled into this sense of like, you know, YouTube's protecting me and protecting my kids. Like,
if we let them go, they'll run wild.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, like we need to be medicated and we need to be brainwashed. And oh wait, our food needs to have, shit. Anyways, so as far as the Rumble thing goes, you would think that, oh, well, they're talking about free speech. They want to be able to say anything they want. It's gonna horrible shit's gonna be there. No, go on Rumble. You won't find any weird, horrible shit. No. Actually, on this one, you find more.
More, yeah.
It's insane. Like, so it made me feel better about humanity, honestly, a little bit. There's more fucking animal videos on there than there is anything to be offensive or even conspiratorial. That's an example of a platform moving up, and partly because people who have the same values got behind it and everything. We talked about that like fucking 2 or more years ago. Like, this is what needs to happen. I was all pumped for True Social. I'm let down. I'm actually going to say something on there about it because all it is 24 hours a day Trump worship.
Yeah, and that's not what's needed.
It's the same thing that Parler was. It's like you finally get a chance to have a social media app that's going to be, you know, less censorship, if any, and going to give you a chance to actually spout your political stuff, but also interact with people other than that. Instead, all you get is a political stuff.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's going on there saying like, oh yeah, here's this really cool thing I did with my lawn and my bushes and shit like that and blah blah blah. No. It's only about Trump and Republican stuff. You know, there's nothing on there about their kids' baseball game. There's nothing on there about baseball. No. Like, I went on there looking for certain people to follow, and it's like I could find baseball players, but I could only find, like, Kurt Schilling. Like, you know, only Republican people. And if the content was not just that, then you could get other people to come over. That's a whole side rant, but that's an example of what not to do. Rumble is an example of what to do, because it sat there and just was a platform. There's no fucking motive behind it.
Right.
That's the thing. Not like, look at us.
Give you a place to speak freely.
Right. Not speak freely about being on the right.
Yeah.
Like, just speak freely, period. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, like, that's the way, is to, you know, use alternatives, start supporting other platforms. Now, I want the detailed tech laws that I touched on and somehow we got away from. Meaning, it's everything. It's the whole fucking world. It's how people meet people. It's how you do business. It's how you check out a prospective employee. It's all kinds of horrible things and great things. It's the entire world is online. You need to have people looking at who are unbiased, that aren't tied into these tech companies, who are experts on these fields. You know, and you need one that's a psychologist on this particular thing. You need detailed tech laws. You need to have a panel. You need to constantly be hearing filibusters on this. You need to bring in expert opinions.
Yeah.
You need to, number one, have people voicing the right questions.
Yeah, for sure. That's
the problem. You have plenty of people basically at your disposal who have answers. But the problem is I may be wrong, but I haven't seen enough members of our government saying, hey, we need to form a task force on this, because we need to know how to keep one company from having a monopoly on the information. Mm-hmm. There's been the monopoly on the whole browser, the operating system thing. This is bigger than that. You know, that was between Bill Gates and, that thing.
Yeah. This is
way bigger than that. We need somebody coming forward and saying, how do we stop a monopoly on information? How do we be sure that differing opinions are presented as well? You know, so we really do need to get our leaders behind this, and that may be people in social media, and please, some of these people that run like maybe these new alternatives. They need to come forward. Yeah, I don't know. You don't sign a petition. I don't know. You don't actually go anywhere in real life and fucking protest anymore. I'm not sure how you do this. Okay.
Can you sign things anymore in public? Or
there was the
whatever?
one
It's gotta
thing
be
that I
like
was
an
talking about the other
e-signature
day
now
that actually
that we
mattered,
write in
but-
the middle of like the air and it just appears somewhere.
That's coming, but yeah, I mean, you need some knowledgeable, important people to come together and say, hey, this is how the culture is going to be affected if we don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they can be scientists in their own right. You know, you could have somebody
it
that's
has
like,
to be like a constitution of type thing.
there you go, exactly. There has to be real laws to this. I know they've created some absolutely terrible, misleading, idiotic ones, misled, I should say. You know, you need somebody like Jordan Peterson on it, who's a clinical psychologist,
Right.
to say, okay, this is what this could cause in people. Then you need somebody who's a historian on propaganda and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need a sociologist who can talk about how the attitudes of the culture and the counterculture can be affected by too much control over information.
Yeah.
You need, obviously, security, internet security. You need a whole fucking panel.
Yeah.
All right.
A big one.
And you need enforcement. You need companies to know that if they bend to pressure from, you know, lobbyist type individuals or even government agencies or celebrities or whatever the case may be, whoever's pulling the strings behind.
They're getting a strike and they're getting shut down.
Exactly. You know, this is
penalized in some form.
anybody who's like our age, barely your age, definitely my age, that remembers Encyclopedia Britannica. This would be the equivalent of what's going on right now. It would be the equivalent of you finding out that one side of everything, basically, one giant lobby is behind controlling every sentence that is written in Encyclopedia Britannica, and also that is then transferred over to every textbook. This is the same thing as that. So no matter which side you're on, pick the 5 biggest industries in the world, whether you're picturing the past, now, whatever. Picture those people in a room deciding what information and what side of everything you see. It goes into Encyclopedia Britannica. It goes into every textbook in school. That's what your kids are going to be taught.
It's kind of outraging to think of it, right?
Right. In other words, like if you
Outrageous.
and I mean, this stuff happened. That's why I'm saying this, and I'm trying really hard not to. I don't even know if I can talk about the stuff that happened in America with this, but you know, Henry Ford. A lot of people fucking hate Henry Ford. You're convinced he's a racist. He was sympathetic to that party over there. You know, that point in the right fucking way.
Oh.
And he had a lot of sway and influence, obviously.
Mm.
You know, so him and a couple of his buddies get together because they lead the biggest industry in the world, and they say that we want everyone to believe and think this because it helps feed our industry, which helps feed America, and this is the way we're all going, and blah blah blah. How do you guys that hate Henry Ford think of that? Like, feel about that? You know, if he would have had say so over absolutely everything that was taught to your kid, every answer they had to a question, you know, everything.
Yeah.
How their teacher was fucking taught, everything. How they were just being held back as far as learning how to critically think by Henry Ford. Insert very big, like, barren, like, tycoon that you fucking hate in that position, no matter which side you're on. That's the way I'm describing it. So the only other thing that us little guys can do is we could spam the living fuck out of our opinions and truth. Meaning, after so long, enough people will see it.
Mm-hmm.
You might say, oh, my reach is only 7 people. Yeah, well, after sharing it 5 more times, all of a sudden, like, 4 of those 7 will be different people that see it.
Mm-hmm.
Just the law of averages and the way their algorithm works. Spam the living fuck out of it. I've actually thought about, hey, you guys, it kind of talked about this in a music episode before. Hey, you guys, they've made it impossible to be seen by anybody unless you pay, like, astronomical amounts of money and shit like this, and they're restricting the amount of how long the video is, what I can say, how I keyword it, how I title it. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to post a fucking ad for my album every 15 minutes for the next year. And if I'm just putting it up on my feed and shit like that, they can't really do shit about that. I'm not just talking about Facebook, everything.
Yeah.
I will set a program to do this. So eventually, everybody will fucking see it, or at least a lot of people will see it. It'll kind of prove a point. all the people whose opinions you actually care about, you've warned them about it in advance. Like, hey man, you need to see this shit all the time. Like, sit there and make it to where you don't see my shit. You know, I've actually thought about that so that I have a different audience. I've thought about telling half of my audience to shut off. Like, hey, put it to where you don't follow my post for a week. You know, and I think you can do that in just about every
you can.
platform. But
my other platforms.
spam. You know, you have an opinion that's important. Put it up every 15 minutes. I fucking hate it when people do that shit, but do it anyway. I mean, even put in there, the reason I'm doing this is because I know that enough eyes won't get put on this unless I just keep doing it. Eventually, shit will be so inundated with junk, they can't ban everybody.
Right.
It's like Joe Rogan was talking about the other day. He's like, well, what are you going to do, ban everyone? And Andrew Tate said the same thing. It gets to the point where you're at a level where you're uncancelable. Because they can pull your channel. But what about if you have real fans? Not just viewers, fans. If you have 100,000 fans out there that miss seeing your shit and there's a community and other people want to see it and everything, they're going to upload your videos.
Yep.
And all of a sudden there's even more videos of you on there because you're not allowed to have a channel, so your fans are doing it. You can't be canceled once you get to the level to where you have that kind of
loyalty.
Yeah, loyalty and fandom to where people are like ready to just like, dude, I want to keep sharing this message, dude. He's gone, but whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way you do it. You know, the fucking content is there. The sheer amount of people are there that are sharing in the sentiment. So I didn't even plan on saying this. I got notes here. I didn't plan on saying this, but we all should. Those of us who feel like our opinions are gone, we're shadow banned, you know, like the right messages about things, or at least our messages about things can't be seen or heard. We need to just spam. We need to keep fucking spam. It ain't nothing to spam. It ain't too much to me.
All right.
Do you remember that song?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. You want to add anything to this fucking particular topic?
No, not really. I think you about got it. It's bullshit, and if I, say too much more, I'll probably swear one too many times, and they'll ban the video for that. So.
Well, I mean, we'll still have it on Rumble.
Yeah.
We'll have the full thing on Patreon. Some people even want to hear the stuff that I cut out that's like fuck ups.
Yeah.
They find it entertaining. You know what I'm saying? So all that'll be on Patreon. So you guys, I don't know, write your congressman.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll be back whenever. That's another thing. We're not doing one every week. Just for the simple fact that it's not just about the work or any of that kind of stuff. I want us to feel at least halfway prepared and
not do stuff
put
in a
work
forced
in.
manner.
Yeah. Put some more thought into each topic, that sort of thing. Have a wider range. I mean, we already had a wide range, but have a wider range of interviews.
Yeah.
But screen the living fuck out of them now, dude.
Ooh, I can't wait to talk about that one. That'll be fun.
Definition of a wankster.
I don't know, man. It's like this thing of ours. It was definitely not this thing of yours.
It's like we were talking about the other day. We were talking about this, and then I'll say my piece thing at the end. Guys who want to dupe people and get attention and stuff like that, and make money off of fucking stories. All they have to do is claim to be a part of a secret society. You claim to be a Freemason, a CIA agent, or in the mafia.
Things that can't really completely be,
Can't be proven or disproven completely.
Yeah.
Except by that group, and by definition, that group's very exclusive. And technically, even those people that are close to people in that group don't know shit about it.
Yeah.
So if you really want to sell a story, spin a fucking tale, and make a profit off of it, and just completely get creative with it, but insert yourself in as a fucking hero, there you go.
Yeah.
I just taught you guys something. Pick a secret society. Doesn't matter what the fuck it is. Say you're Skull and Bones. You know what I mean? You can completely make up the fact that it was at a different college. I keep sitting, I could talk forever because I always feel like I got to sit here and say things to prove this. No, people, do your own fucking work. Go look things up in Google. Look them up on Bing. See that you've gone from 2 billion results to 200. And honestly, stop there. and sit down and ask yourself, like, is that a good thing? Why did that happen? When did it happen? How come nobody told me about it? How the internet broke down to 8 zeros. It'd be 0.000000001% of the internet was left one day, and the rest was erased. Basically, your access to it is erased.
Yeah.
It really is. So I'll end it on that, and I guess we'll talk about something else important next week. We're getting the kinks out still. On that note, I say peace.